What's up, guys? It's Ylli, and this is episode 22 of the Squad Plug. Today, we are joined by Daurio, who is the technical manager for the USAPL. Among his projects right now are the World Cup, which he's currently running, and it'll be out in Albany this coming June. We talk about the national qualifying total change for 2025 and everything that goes in around that. And we also talked about what the USAPL is considering maybe doing, to change the social media front and that kind of stuff and meet people where they're at. Tune in, listen in, give us some feedback, and subscribe. Welcome to the Squad Plug, episode 22. Today, we are joined by Daurio. Jan, would you like to introduce yourself and let the public, the audience know what you do and that kind of stuff, what capacity you operate on the USAPL?
So I am the technical manager for USA Powerlifting. The aspects of my job are all things website, technical, our registration app, live stream, social media, anything that touches the web. Basically, I've got my fingers in. So.
Okay. And how long have you been in the USAPL as a member or as an employee or both?
I've been a member since 2013 and an employee since 2018.
Nice. Been around for a good long while. So some of the projects that Jan here is in charge of whatnot, like besides the internet stuff, currently one of the projects is the World Cup.
Yes.
And that'll be taking place in June.
Yep.
Tell us something about it.
So the Open World Cup is a open division only event, and it's basically an international event. So it's going to be something. First time we're going to run an international event in Albany, New York.
Oh, so it's in New York.
For USA Powerlifting. Yep. So you get to go to our very small capital city in upstate New York, but it's got a lot to offer in the summer. So you can go to the track, you can just check out the sites, you can go to Cooperstown, you can do whatever you want. We're going to have people from a couple of different countries right now. We've got China, Hong Kong. I think we've got a couple coming in from Australia and England as well. So as well as people from all over the country, not just New York. Mm-hmm. So we've got them from probably a dozen or so different states. And the World Cup concept is something that we're trying to kick off where it's a chance for people to win pro cards. Mm-hmm. So you're going to be able to get a pro card, top 3 people by dots in the open division for raw and equipped, male and female. So we're going to give away 12 pro cards. Is that right?
Yep.
Yeah. So
math is math.
Math is hard during the day. So 12 pro cards if they hit the minimum dots. So obviously that's 475 female, 500 male. Again for the open division only, and it will be for raw and equipped. This year only, we're instituting a 75 kilo total, like a barrier for entry. We want you to have a meet. We don't want it to be your first, it's going to be a next level event. So we want to make sure that we don't have people coming here for the first time that have never competed before. We have also opened it up to any other persons that are coming in from a drug-tested federation. So we've got people coming in from WRPF, USPA, 100% raw. So we've also opened it up for them as well.
Very cool.
Yep.
Do they need to have a USAPL membership for this?
They will have to have a membership, and everybody that steps on our platform has to have a membership. But at least we can go to Open Powerlifting and use their database to kind of query them and vet them, make sure that they have a total. So there's probably, I want to say, we have about 101 lifters right now. I was expecting more. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. The cap was at 240. Being that it's the first event, being that the location, it was kind of a hindrance to some people, which I get. But I can guarantee you it's going to be a great time. The production level is going to be really awesome. So I also hear that some people from the national office are going to be flying in and kind of being there for the duration of the event. So with that being said, I feel like, that being that I'm the first person to run it ever for USA Powerlifting, we got to set a benchmark, right? So the next person that runs it next year, I want them to make sure that we don't regress and we run it, a little bit less. Yeah. I want to make sure that here's the standard, you go from there. Mm-hmm. No, you will not be crowned a world champion. That is not the actual effect of this. This is more to allow international competitors to come and compete on U.S. soil. And ultimately, maybe this moves to England or Australia or an Asian country next year. And now we have the ability to go there to compete on their soil as well as Americans. So just another kind of, let's have another venue or another avenue, so to speak, to allow people to compete at a level where they can have category referees and national level referees, set American records. We're going to be able to set world records there. So we're going to have a bunch of category referees there that make sure that if people are coming in and they want to set those records and we can adjudicate them, we will. I really feel that this is going to be, we're going to set the standard here. We've already done it with the Masters World Cup. Does anybody remember how many lifters were at the first Masters World Cup last year?
I do not.
75. You know how many are going to be competing this year?
How many?
It capped at 240.
Really?
So what does that tell you? You run it once, the next year it's gonna ramp up. So the next person to do what we're doing here is they're gonna hopefully get to that point where we can cap it. I don't see it running more than a weekend. We don't want it to be like the IPF style where we do a couple weight classes a day. We want everybody to be competitive. There would be awards for weight classes, but everybody competes in the open.
So it's a dots meet.
It is a dots meet for the best lifters, but it is a total meet for award placing.
I understand.
I'm sorry. Is there going to be a primetime session for that, or is just no?
Nope, not for that one. That one is strictly just lifting during the day. Basically an AM session, a PM session. Again, because we have a variety of different people coming in. We've got a guy coming from Texas that'll squat 8, pull 8, bench over close to 5. And you have somebody that may not be half of that. So you want to make sure that we cater to everybody. And that's kind of the mantra that I feel that USA Powerlifting should be carrying forward. We're open the doors. We don't care if you're not at where you feel you need to be, or you're an elite level athlete. We want everybody to compete on the same platform and get the feeling of competing in front of a crowd and setting your own personal records. I think that's really important.
So some questions here.
I have a question about the world records.
Yep.
Well, because USAPL has never done an international event before.
Wrong. You do know that all of our Arnold events up until...
Those are technically international events?
Yes.
Okay, I stand corrected. I did not know that.
Yep.
I was wrong. That's totally fine. So
and
the question still stands, though.
Okay.
So these world records that are set, they're within the USAPL organization. It's not like people are going to come out here and think they're breaking like IPF world records or anything like that.
The standards when we started our own world records were based off of the IPF standards at the time.
Okay.
And then we've adopted them and we've moved on from that because they've been replaced. At our national level meets, bench, raw, national, so you actually have open, bench, and youth, and high school and collegiate, you could also set world records.
So are there currently standing world records that in the USAPL that are comparable to IPF world
absolutely.
records?
I would say,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm asking for me, yes, but also for the listeners. I just don't want to assume that they know all these things. So I think these are good things to talk about.
Well, Rondell Hunt, for example, his record is a world record.
Yes.
Yep. He's the world record.
Literally the world record.
Yeah. You guys don't have to be like, Mark, you're an idiot.
In fact, he's the first.
Austin Perkins.
Austin
too.
Perkins.
Yeah.
Okay. This is that.
Yep.
This is why I'm asking.
So, Rondell Hunt's performance, the 125 kg performance, is the first time somebody over 120 kg, drug tested, if memory serves correctly, ever does anything over 600 dots. It's the first time it's ever happened. So that it's that world record.
All right,
so
fair
people
enough.
talking about the competitions in Powerlifting America and IPF, not necessarily the case, buddy.
Yeah.
Understand?
Well, because you do see people on the internet, right, talking about that, putting world records in quotations because they think that they're not real, right? They assume that, these records haven't been set because, we're not in the IPF. So.
Yeah. We wanted to set a bar and then go from there. Now, have the standards all been smashed? No. Will they? Probably not.
So yeah, but they'll say that the world records aren't real and that kind of stuff, like in quotation marks. But the USAPL isn't the USPA. It's not RPS.
No.
Correct.
Yeah.
Up until very
I
recently.
think we have very, very high level lifters still competing in the USAPL.
Yeah.
And you could only set world records at specific meets, not
Correct.
every
Correct.
meet. You know.
Yeah, I know.
And I know we touched on this, but again, when we brought in the world records after our split, we wanted to have the level set with a standard, and then we would build upon that. So I think that's really the biggest thing is that, yes, you can set world records, but you literally have to be at a meet where those can be done, and the correct referees have to be in the chairs.
Now, talking about the production value that people can expect. So I travel around the country quite a bit, right? For like handling people at meets and that kind of stuff, from national to international level, all that kind of stuff. I've never been to meets as smoothly conducted and run as Jan's meets. New York State's. I've been there. It was fantastic both years. It got better this year than it was last year. Regionals was also phenomenal. Again,
Regionals was fantastic.
I think the venue makes all the difference in the world, man. Listen, I'm all for hosting a meet in a gym, but when you bring it to a space that you can, it's a blank canvas, you can do whatever you want, you know? And I would rather pay the money and have it at a venue like we had at the Cap Center, where we have all the space we need and we can adjust the lighting in the ceilings, and it's so much better, you know, way, way, way better.
Yeah. So, like, from a coach's perspective, what I notice here is the TCs back there are very helpful. They're doing what they need to. They're attentive. You have screens in the back. You have, the spotters, loaders are doing whatever they need to do. I haven't seen any misloadings take place and whatnot. People are doing their job. They're quick. They're snappy. Things are moving efficiently. There's no like timeouts because they lower the wrong plates and that kind of stuff. It's a well-oiled machine. You know,
Shout out to RIT powerlifters for that. Those guys and gals were amazing. But I'm bringing them in for every one of my meets.
Dude, they did a great job.
Yeah.
You definitely should bring them back. I was impressed by what I saw there, and they're all like high spirits. They're helpful and that kind of stuff. The warm room will
Spotter crew can make all the difference.
They set the pace of the meet.
Yep.
Period. It's not the lifts, not the referees, but it's the spotting loading crew.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And they caught quite a few, I guess, like fails and that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It was a phenomenal job by them. You know, like clapping to them. Warm-up room was also phenomenal. Like, as opposed to getting to these areas where it can be very tight and things are disorganized, everything was labeled. It was very seamlessly run. So this is what people can expect. And so people are wondering basically like what a meet's going to be like. And as somebody who does a whole lot of roasting of meets and so on and so forth, like different venues, this is at the top. This is top tier. It can't get better than this. So if you're looking for a meet that you can go out there and basically do the best you can without being distracted by bullshit taking place out there, this is going to be it. And I can only imagine what Jen's going to be doing for the World Cup. So now that we've advertised for you here.
Can I say one thing? So we changed things up for states, and we kind of borrowed an idea from Carly at Mustache, and we literally positioned people on platforms. Instead of just going willy-nilly and everybody kind of pick a platform, we literally set athletes on a platform, and they knew where to go. They stayed there. That's where they did all their warm-ups, and we broke it down so there was even amounts of people. And it people may hate it, but ultimately, when you get used to that process, it's way better.
We've actually been doing that at our meets.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, and he kind of figures out like, all right, who's at similar strength levels? You can warm up together.
I love it.
And then he puts little whiteboards on every platform because all right, you are here and you're over there, and it works out. It's very, very smooth.
It is way better. It's so much better.
It's such a welcome change. I mean, I remember the past being at these meets, and like in fact to this day, like meets I guess that aren't run to this caliber. You get to the warm-up room, and it's just like basically it's you getting to a combo rack. And you have your lifter who's probably opening up with 500 pounds, and then somebody else jumps in who's opening up 300 pounds.
Yeah.
And
you take a weight off.
You even see this at nationals, right? Where like people will walk around the warm room. Can I take this? Can I take this? Can I hop on here real quick? And it's like, yeah, I guess so, but it's like, it's chaos.
If you've gotten to that level, there's 12 racks back there. There should be no hopping around.
There was less of it this year than it was the year before when we guys did Vegas Vegas Nets. That was a bit of a clusterfuck in the back, So now that we're talking about nationals level meets and that kind of stuff, let's talk about nationals. Let's talk about the sign-up process and that kind of stuff. So I can actually start maybe with my own experience. Midnight hits, you can go in. We get the whole 404 experience we had for the Arnold.
The 404 experience.
The 404 Grand Tour.
Error found.
Now, mind you, I'm going to let you finish and then I'll chime in.
So, like at 12 o'clock at night on Sunday, which is Monday morning, and I'm wondering, why is it 12 o'clock and that kind of stuff? And sure enough, within I was thinking by 12 p.m. the next day, everything was sold out. If I remember this correctly, within 12 hours.
Yeah.
With over 1,000 people registered for this meet.
Well, we talking about the Arnold, or you talking about Raw?
Raw.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was 1,175 to be exact.
Did you guys expect that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I expected more. We actually cut the cap. We had a cap of 12, and we to leave it a little bit of wiggle room because we still have people coming in. We'll get to that conversation in a minute. So let's talk about the Arnold first, because then we'll talk about collegiate and raw. We have a website called register.USAPowerlifting.com. That's where everybody can go register for national level meets. We also have the Open World Cup there. Eventually, what we're hoping to get to is anything kind of states and above, you'll be able to go there and register. We kind of want to keep regionals at that next level event. So we're kind of pushing them to use it. It gives them a lot of tools. I won't go into that because if they want to see it, they can contact me directly. Mm-hmm. But what it does is it allows them to, this is the athlete, put their information in, create a login, and now they have a profile. They don't have to create a profile again. And now they can go log in again for every meet, sign in, register, and be done with it. So one of the things that we've done, we're still kind of playing around with the best way to do it because it gets very expensive when you're spinning up resources to handle the load of the people coming in, right? So with the Arnold, we figured the Raw challenge was 75 lifters, 60 lifters. It shouldn't have been that bad. What we should have done, and I'll be the guy taking the blame on this, is we should have staggered how the events get laid out. We open up Masters first on day whatever, Friday. We do day 2 on another day, and we literally open up Friday, Saturday, Sunday, kind of like the events kind of happened. And then that way, everybody's not hitting the servers at the same time. And that'll be the standard going forward. If we're at the Arnold next year. I don't know, but we'll leave that as potential.
I'd like to have a round 2 and maybe redeem myself out there with a non-Belmont performance.
Bold of you to assume you're going to get another invite after that.
I'll have a talk with the powers that be, see if we can make that happen for you. So,
do not bomb him out.
So the process is when we know that we're going to get hit with a lot of people coming in at the same time. There was at least a couple hundred, 400 or 500 people that are trying to register for the Raw Challenge, and only 60 slots. So you know what that means, right? So we spun up 3 extra resources, basically 3 other servers to handle the load, and it wasn't enough. So as soon as 12 o'clock hit, everybody had that page loaded. They hit refresh or hit enter, and 404. I'm like, crap. And I was up as well because I like to see what's going on. If I can mitigate any problems, I will. And like,
playing your violin in the background,
right.
Just watching the servers burn.
I can't even get in. So at the end of the day,
wow, you couldn't even get in.
No, I couldn't even get in. Yeah, so I contacted my developer who was kind of up at the same time, and I'm like, you see what's going on? He's like, yeah, we can't spin anything else up more because it takes a couple hours for it to happen. So by the time it's going to happen, the people will fall off. So yes, we had our issues, right? Raw was the same way. We opened it at midnight. Again, my decision. I don't know why I picked midnight. Maybe it's because I want some obscure time.
So you were the one.
I am. It's going to be 5 p.m. Eastern time for everything going forward.
Okay, awesome.
Period. No matter what.
So let me ask you this: are you going to be doing I'm going to see a
Yuli's going to be fighting a fire at 5 p.m.
Probably will
registration.
But it's easier than midnight.
That would be the day.
It's easier than midnight. I can't speak to what we're going to do with Raw next year. Obviously, with the QTs going up, it's going to be a little bit different.
We're not going to have that issue again. I can't imagine.
No.
QTs the way they are now.
So let's talk about this year, and we'll circle back to next year. So when we fired up Raw, we brought on a 4th instance, and it still wasn't enough. We were at 100+% server load for for probably a good hour and a half. Yes. What? So as you got in and you went to go pay, maybe you got to Stripe and you paid, or maybe you just got blown out and you went nowhere. There you go. So, I mean, what we learned is that, okay, we don't have enough resources at play. So what we did differently for collegiate, because that opened on January 1st, I believe. I can't remember, but it was somewhere in January. We brought up 6 extra resources. It kept our server load at about 70%. And that meet sold out in, I think it took a couple of days. But I was watching and it was jumping by hundreds. And within the first probably 3 or 4 hours, we were over 1,000 lifters already registered. And it was staying 70% consistently. Nobody had issues with 404 errors. Nobody had issues with going and going to Stripe and paying and not being able to pay. So everybody got in that could get in. So we learned a valuable lesson. We need to spin up a lot more resources to handle that. I think with some of the things that we're going to be doing for next year's events, we won't need to, because I personally would rather go with staggered releasing, with the Arnold stuff if we do the Arnold again. Collegiate seems to be good. We don't have any issues with Open Youth and Bench, because they're smaller events anyways, and people aren't clamoring to go, 1,000 people to sign up for either one of those. And that's fine, But for Raw, we have a plan, and the plan is to target things, pros first, and then kind of go from there. We're going to have regionals implications in there as well. So there'll be some staggered rollouts, and then we will open it up to the masses again with a cap. Now, everybody's going to ask the question, are you going to require a QT? I really don't think that we want to, because if we open it up when I think that we should, it's potentially everybody that could set a total should have set a total. I'll let that kind of sit there and
Got it. As opposed to what's happened the past few years.
Well, we opened up Raw Nats 2 years ago, like the day after it closed, and it was open for a year. So this year we opened it up in November 1st, and it got filled in 13 hours. So I think that if we open it up after all of our state meets should be done, because Raw National is going to be in June next year, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So if we have at the end of March, all of our state championships should be done.
Yeah. There should be no reason that you don't have the total.
Right.
Already. Correct.
So if we open it, say mid-April, and we have it open for that long, then maybe at the beginning of April we already have the people that pros and regional winners from the years past or whatever can get in. Then we open it up to the other athletes. We have a couple of things. We have a couple of tools at our disposal that we're going to work on that should mitigate issues of things that have happened in the past.
So we're dealing with basically, in other words, we had problems in the past. They happened a couple of times. You've learned, you've adapted, you're overcoming. It's not going to happen again, basically.
Yeah.
So you're taking actual
That's a much better
steps right now. This is fantastic. This is great. And hearing about the 6 different resources for collegiate Nats versus the 3 that you had before and whatnot. 4 that you had before.
4 for Raw, yeah.
4 for Raw. This is basically, I think, more in line with what we can expect, I guess, to prevent those issues from taking place in the future. And it shows you guys are taking this seriously.
Yep.
So people I remember, because I'm like, I want to say people bring up a whole lot of the complaints to me about the fact that wasn't taking my DMs get blown up.
I'm sure. I
if
can
people
imagine.
If people want to hit me up with DMs and whatnot, it's a 50-50 chance I may or may not be able
Please
to
stop.
respond.
I know I get my reply, so it's
Just
all
give me
good.
some time. I swear through it. I think I'm 60 days behind in some instances right now.
Wow. At that point, I'm like, I'm not replying.
No, there's a lot, bro. It's a lot. So anyway, but so they let me know what the complaints are, and this year there's a whole lot to diminish. I want to say the complaints that they have, because things are being taken seriously, changes are being made. CNATs going as smoothly as it did is a reflection on it actually being happening, as opposed to people just talking about this.
Yep.
And I like hearing this. The QT changing as well for 2025, which is the next thing I think we're going to talk about over here, was another hot button topic, and I think it's a great and welcome change. You want personally, my stance here is you want nationals to be people who are like actual potential national champions, people who are in the vying to take top 10 spots and positions and maybe podium.
1,000%.
Ylli looked at me when he said that because he knows I'm clawing my way to the QT. He's like, "Listen, Mark, I know you're trying, but you're too far away, and we need competitive
You're
lifters
more like
up
a
there."
state level lifter.
Let's make sure you hit a 300 bench.
Well, actually, we need people to sell out local meets. Is what we need, Mark. Is what he's saying.
Yeah, I'm the local meat.
do.
I'm the local meat hero. So I got this, baby.
First place out of one person.
There you go.
More like a local
me
sidekick.
against me.
Literally me versus me. We roast each other a lot.
Right.
But that kind of stuff though. So I actually like that change. I think it's a great change. I know people, I guess, gonna have some issues with it, whatever the case is. That's fine. You're always gonna have haters. But the question here for me, like from a business standpoint now, is because you go from 1175 people signing up for this meet. I can imagine you're also reducing the amount of people you're gonna have signing up for next year, right? The cutoff.
Probably not.
If you think about what the top 20 is, that's a lot of people. And I don't think that we're gonna lose that many.
I don't think so either.
I think if anything, it maybe now that the people know that it's truly competitive, they're going to want to be there for the fight.
So is there any talk, maybe I guess like regionals, like QT's changing, that kind of stuff, like what's taking place along those lines? Because we're talking about the pipeline from local to state to regionals to nationals.
I know that there's some rumblings within the organization to do something about it, because I feel like a 75 kilo total for regionals it's absurd. The barrier for entry is literally just do a meet. The funnel should be local, state champions go to regionals. I don't know if we're there yet, but that's kind of where we wanted to. We started this whole process prior to COVID, and then COVID shot us in the foot and said, you're not going to be able to do that for a while. I do feel like raising the regionals QTs to, I even suggested half of what our national QTs are right now, or for 2025. Would be a start, and that way it's still a minimum, like a mandatory minimum, but you're not ostracizing a bunch of athletes. You're ostracizing a few, but not, probably like 10%, but the other 90% could come. And
so I have a question about this. So
Yep.
if we're talking about the pipeline from local to state to regional, right now, like we in Connecticut just did a 365 dots for men. I think it was a 300 for women qualifier for the state meet.
Yep.
And now the regional meet we're going to has
75.
a far less
way far less.
qualifier, right? So how do we kind of reconcile that where I don't want to get rid of the state qualifier because I know that in 2025 you're talking about having a similar qualifying dots for New York State meet.
Yep.
And then is the regional qualifier going to be less? Like I know it's a dots versus a QT thing, but like if I'm hearing, half the current national qualifying total, is that going to be anywhere near, like, say, a 365 dots?
It'd probably be less than that.
Probably less. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
So something else.
So how do we reconcile those two things to where, like, maybe the state meet has a lower barrier of entry versus regionals?
It really depends on the state, because if you have,
Well, I assume not every state across the board is doing a dots qualifier. I think that was only you and I.
Yeah.
Or I say I as if I'm like the USAPL state chair for Connecticut. But
you in Connecticut.
yeah, me in Connecticut.
I might have a resolution for that. So regions are comprised of like different states.
Yep.
You have
Correct.
a whole bunch of them, so on and so forth. I used to wrestle in high school, and how
Me too.
Yeah, so how we go up the ranks is basically do like local meets, whatever, like high schools around you. Do well enough, you win enough, you make your way up to states. Then you have regionals and so on and so forth, and then from regionals to nationals, right? It's based off a win-loss ratio.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
What if we took the people based with certain weight classes, and the top three, at a state meet, made their way to regionals, as opposed to being dots and that kind
You
of
know
stuff.
why I'm laughing right now? Because that's what Jan said like
Yeah, we just covered
3
that.
minutes ago.
Really?
I said that
No, right now on the podcast, you just said.
the funnel should be local. You go to states, state
No, I'm saying-
championships. State champions would get to go to regionals,
got it, okay.
and then regionals champions would go if they hit the appropriate QT.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I misinterpreted that. I
Right.
apologize.
I mean, so
that distinction was like lost on me. Yeah.
but then so you also have. You have to remember small states. I mean, we have
I'm a very simple
Oklahoma,
creature.
and, states that have
I mean,
like
even
less
Rhode
than
Island over here.
that have less than a couple hundred members. Their state meets are going to be comprised of probably being involved with other states, like Mass runs Rhode Island.
My
They have run
first
together.
meet was Mass Rhode Island State Championship in 2018.
I did that meet.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, I was there. First
Yeah.
meet.
Guest lifter though. Bombed out on bench.
I squatted what I benched at my last meet, which was
There you
Thanks
go.
about my brothers. Really?
yeah. I was not strong when I started at all. I know
Nobody's
I'm still not
strong.
strong.
Nobody's
Relatively
strong
speaking.
when they
Because punch.
start.
But like,
I'm joking.
I squatted 297. I think I benched like less than 100 kilos, and I think I pulled, maybe 407, like maybe 185 kilos. I'd have to look at the database, but it was not.
That's quite the bell curve. It's
Yeah.
it's like, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So we've come quite a long way, regardless of me being still relatively weak.
That happens. That happens.
So fuck all the haters. I'll put hundreds of pounds on my total.
So to the point of, keeping other states and regions in line, that's a bigger conversation.
That's fair.
You've got California, number 2 in the country. You've got Texas, number 1 in the country. We're number 3 in the country. And that's why we can actually kind of impose those QTs on there, because A, we run so many meets in the state, but if we say, hey, if you want to get to nationals, you have to do A and B, or A or B. And then maybe right now states and regionals is the thing, and we keep it that way for a little while, but then we know that down the road, the only way, the road is one way, not a couple of different merges here and there, right? Local meet QT, state meet QT, regional meet QT, but they all are kind of, you got to do local meet to get to states. You have to do states to do the regionals, and then you kind of have to go that way. There's going to be
Like
some
an actual sport.
right, like you're always leveling up, right?
Yes, exactly.
And there's going to be some shuffling in the calendar when things are going to happen, because if we move Raw back to June, and some of and Equip stays in summer as well, so now everything's like national meet wise that really matters is happening in the summer. Well, we can't really have regionals in the summer now too, right? That's got to get moved.
Exactly. I was thinking about that myself.
Yeah, so there's lots of things that are in play right now. And it's
So I can imagine, like maybe, like just from my perspective, maybe like a states meet in January, or maybe February. Local meet in January. The states meet in February, and then maybe I guess you could do like something in maybe May or something like that for regionals.
But then it's June.
it's way too
Those
close.
are very
man.
quick
So,
turnarounds if you're going to do like
Way
each
too
meet.
close.
So-
I personally feel regionals needs to move to the fall.
the fall, really.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got
To
it.
kind of set you up for the following year.
Yep.
I like
Got
that.
it, got it.
Yep.
Because
I like
the
that.
QT from the year before. Okay.
Yep. Because states is still going to be the last 3 months and the first 3 months of the year. That's probably not going to change because we've got 50 states that need to run it, right? So you need to make sure that you have enough time with getting an event together, and when you have other states that are running it around then, like Connecticut ran their state meet the same weekend that we did, so we kind of struggle to get referees, and it makes it difficult when you're running on one platform, running it two. Georgia, I was down there helping their meet in February. They ran a 3-platform meet. They capped their meet at 300 lifters,
Wow.
but they don't run as many meets during a year. So that's why their state meet is huge. You know,
Yeah.
we ran 31 meets last year. We're going to run 30 plus this year, and I think that the more meets a state runs, their state meet is going to suffer. But I think ultimately it'll rebound eventually because, well, I'm going to pull back a little bit of how many I run right now, and I know there's Carly's talking about potentially not running an event or two next year that he was running, just to kind of bring it back to where it needs to be and put the focus on the bigger level meets.
So the issue that I'm currently having right now as a coach, and with trying to direct people into meets and so on, so at least in the New York area, is as I'm trying to have people sign up for meets, they're sold the fuck out
Yes.
for many months out.
Yeah.
So if there's a way to maybe have, I guess, like multi-day meets and have less meets, but have maybe, I guess, like, like increase the cap to 200, 300 people, that'd probably be a better way. Because I have some people who want to do a certain meet, they need to have a qualifying total, but because they competed 2 years ago, now they're trying to find the scramble,
Right.
like a local meet to sign up to, and everything's sold out. Go to New Jersey, it's the same thing. Go to Connecticut, it's the same thing as well. Pennsylvania, same thing as well.
It's a good
This is a
problem to
good
have,
thing.
man.
It
It's
is.
a
Yeah,
good
it's-
problem
I was
to
gonna
have,
say,
you know?
yeah.
But you can't just kind of give birth to a meet director and say, go ahead, here's this new shiny thing and go run it. You just can't.
You can do it with 200 people, by the way. Good luck.
Yeah,
If it works out.
I cringe at having a new meet director go run a multi-day, multi-platform meet. It's
I
daunting.
mean, we've run weekend local meets because so many people
You guys are good
even
to
if,
go.
Even
You have
if
a well-oiled
Ryan puts
machine.
like a 70, 80 lifter cap on it, and he just cannot figure out a way to fit everybody in on one day, we end up doing like one session on Sunday.
Yeah,
That's a long weekend.
it is.
And it's a lot of work for all the volunteers.
Yep.
We're not getting paid good money to show up. And I'm not saying like I need to get paid to do it. I love doing it. It's just
Ryan, he wants a
it's
raise.
not super feasible to just double that.
Yeah,
No, I know. I get it, but if you run less meets over the year, and you make
I don't
those,
pay for a gym membership.
if you
Me either.
make those meets bigger, perhaps I think that's the move, because maybe I guess you have a rough weekend right now, but it's every 3 months as opposed to every single month. Maybe that's the way.
I have no idea, to be honest. I'm not a meet director. I see some of the ins and outs of it, but I'm not the right person to.
so I
speak on
can speak to New York specifically. Long Island is coming up, and we've got some new meet directors down there that are running. They're running a meet the same weekend I'm running a meet at SMG. SMG is small, and we wanted to keep it a 1-day, 1-session meet and just be done with it.
30 lifters cap.
Yep.
It's 40.
40.
Yep. So it's full. It's been full. It opened up. It sold out in like a week.
Yeah.
Not even a week. So we wanted to keep it really small because I want them to build. Now that we've ran it, we're going to run it once. Now let's capitalize on it, and maybe we'll do a Saturday, Sunday, and we'll do a 1 session on Saturday and 1 session on Sunday. Maybe bring it up to 60 lifters and do 30 and 30, something like that.
Oh, that would be cool.
The gym isn't big enough to handle that many people.
Well, you can't do 2 sessions in a day because how are you going to deal with the influx of people coming in? when
Well,
everyone's
it's
trying
an
to run
outdoor
out?
meet.
You got to do. Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
And he owns that whole parking lot.
Yeah.
It's actually
Yeah.
big. The outside is big.
Yeah, Josh was saying that he owns the whole.
Yep.
yeah.
He's got it all. So.
All right, that's fair.
Yep. But I know Long Island is their meet on the same weekend. It's 2 days, 1 platform. So they're trying at 120. And there's lots of spots in that meet. They have also, which is not going to be, it's not common knowledge yet, but I'll put it out there. They want to run a meet in December. I signed a sanction, and they aren't going to be opening it until after the meet in June. Simply just because I want to make sure that they can.
Is it RX Fit?
That one is not going to be at RX Fit.
Okay.
That's Forrest. He runs them for me out there. He's out of New Jersey.
I think Kevin wants to do one of those meets. My lifter Kevin.
Okay.
Was there at, RX.
So our XFIT meets always sell, but the problem is that we only had one person running meets in Long Island, and we needed more. So now that Max and Xavier are stepping up and want to do it, I said yes, let's do it
77
because
kgs, Xavier.
yeah.
Okay.
That's him. Yep. So now that they want to step up and actually, be involved again, or at least I know Max wasn't, but Xavier was at one point, then they can, as long as they can show me that they can handle it and they can get the squad to run it, I have no problem with them running meets down there because the more that we can run in the southern part, once you get past like the Capital District area and like the Hudson Valley, there's lots of lifters down there that have to travel to come to meets. If we don't have to have them travel, let's say you have to go from the boroughs to Long Island, that's way better than you can take a train. But if you got to go to Albany, you're driving.
Yeah, I have a lifter who lives in Long Island. He comes to GPT because it's easier for him to get there because he could take the ferry right over to Bridgeport.
Okay. Yeah.
He's at GPT in like an hour and a half.
Oh, nice.
Versus like driving all the way up
Yeah,
to
you got to
Albany.
drive all the way around.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yep.
So he's like, he did states and he knew he was going to be a guest lifter, but he was like, it's easier for me to get there. I know I'm not going to win. So like, I'm just going to come and hang out with you guys and lift. So
Like if Mount Vernon Barbell actually ran a meet, it would be,
I don't know anybody down there that would want to run a meet there. That's the thing. If they want to reach out to me, by all means,
No, they've run meets in the past. Just
USAPL though?
no.
Yeah.
They run WRPF and USPA meets. Let's just say I don't have the best rapport with them, but
All right, well,
don't say.
okay.
But it would be nice to have a meet in that area.
I mean, now you have SMG.
I won't be able to go there.
No,
but
no,
I think
no,
you should do a meet
you know,
there.
SMG is what we're driving behind right now. We want to work on the capacity. Right now it's at 40. If we can get it to like the point, if it's 100, whatever shows like it's possible, then that'd be fantastic.
At SMG?
At SMG.
I think there's some things that are happening outside of what's
Better
going
hope
to
it
go
don't
on there.
rain.
No. I think that there's other things happening there. So that's all I can.
I just mean like in order to have a 100-person meet at such a small place, like you better.
Oh, you need to
better
be
hope
there.
that the weather permits. Is all I'm
And there
saying.
needs to be more hotels. There isn't shit down there, man.
True. It isn't.
True.
It isn't. But it's
No,
like
I went and trained there a few months ago, and I was like, wow, this looks exactly how the town sounds. Briarcliff.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that there are like hotels out by the Yonkers area. Now I think about it, in the Yonkers area, there really aren't that many hotels.
No.
The closest would be probably like White Plains.
I did find a hotel, but it's still almost 20 minutes away.
Yeah,
no.
probably
Which is,
White
I mean, it's
Plains.
fine.
Airbnb is probably
not
the move.
terrible.
I was looking there too.
You know how much?
I was going to bring a couple people with me, so I need like a multi-room place, 1 bedroom with a pull-out couch. We'll see. And it's like $300 a night.
Yep.
Oh.
Sounds about right.
Hey, it's better than 2 or 3 hotel rooms.
True.
Way better.
That's true.
Until
they hit you with the fee, the cleaning fee, which is another $400.
Yeah, now it's $400.
What the hell? The COVID fee. You're like, what the fuck is this?
That's
bro?
over, man.
It's one after the other. It's just ridiculous. I don't know, but so yeah, I like this. The structure is basically developing itself, and I think this is basically something that's going to keep USAPL, I guess, growing and flourishing. Compared to, I guess, like what I'm seeing people talk about Powerlifting America doing, and I really don't see it being executed. We have the national meet had some amazing performances and whatnot, but you can still see it's not a well-oiled machine. It's not being run the way
You saw the lack of it. It's very shallow.
It is.
You
I
get a couple good lifters in the flight, drops off super hard, and it's like it's just almost like placeholder lifters to stick in the flight because they can't have a flight of 3 people.
I think they need to change the structure entirely. The demographic that they have and whatnot doesn't allow for that to take place realistically in a way that basically serves people the way they need to be served. You can't have cope lifters showing up there like a placeholders whatnot at a meet.
Well, when you have a barrier for entry, that is literally just do a meet. That's saying that's letting anybody in.
Yeah.
Precisely. So it tells you they need money and whatnot. So have a smaller venue, have a smaller meet, and just make it prime time.
Yeah.
Maybe have your 12 on 12 nationals.
Yeah.
Like different weight classes, whatever. But clearly the way they're doing it isn't the way. And people talk about them running things better. That's the case in point example of it not being the case. And again, like this is just me. I'm a neutral party here. I like the USAPL, but I also like to have my lifters go to the federation, which does the best job possible. Powerlifting America is not it. USAPL is it. And it's because you guys are a well-oiled machine. You've been at this for over a decade right now, I guess, and like making things as good as they are currently, right?
Yep.
That's not the case.
What do we think about maybe reconciling our differences
That's not going to happen.
with IPF?
It's not going to happen.
Just hear me out.
I'll hear you out, but-
theoretical thought experiment here.
Have you seen Gustav's page?
Yes,
Yes.
let's just
Just
for fun,
open up
just
his
for
page.
funsies.
Okay, let me hear you. I'm
What
listening.
if we were to reconcile our differences with the IPF, where USAPL turns into almost a minor league, which feeds into Powerlifting America, which would be somewhat of a major league.
So hold on a second. First off, if I may,
This is just I'm just kicking around ideas, man. You know, you guys don't have to attack me.
I get it. So that's more or less how it's kind of being treated right now, to be honest. But USAPL,
That's almost what it seems like at
but
this point.
USAPL did nothing wrong as far as that relationship is concerned.
I agree.
Find
I'm
itself
not.
being the minor
That's
part-
almost
kind of
besides the point.
league, you know.
That was the proposal on the table when we were out
Really?
there. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. We were going to not PLA, but we were going to spin up an arm of USA Powerlifting that would be for the elite to go to Worlds, and we would keep USA Powerlifting down where it's local level
Yeah,
and
that's
state
precisely
level.
what I'm
Things like
thinking about.
that. But they didn't. They said it's either you're going to change what you're doing now with your business model, or we're not going to be doing business with you.
I think that's totally fair. I didn't know that, and I wanted to throw out the idea and see what everyone's thoughts
So
were.
you guys mentioned to them the fact that you'd continue with the local meet, like
We
state
still
meet,
wanted to
regional
test
meet,
at our
testing.
level.
And because it wasn't WADA compliant, then you said we'll do the WADA compliant stuff only for the national level, like elite lifters, and whatnot.
Which we do
And they
now.
and they still weren't okay with that.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. Like, what? Like, is there something else maybe going on behind the scenes? There's like, some
They
contingency?
aren't fans. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's really
It's yeah. I mean,
what else can I say? I don't.
That's like a.
We gave them a proposal, and they're like, "Yeah, we don't want to do that."
That's crazy.
Okay then.
Shot
All right. I
themselves
guess
in the
we'll go do our own thing then.
Right, and that's what we're doing,
And
we're thriving. So
you guys are doing a great job.
at the end of the day, I would rather have membership and people coming and lifting at filling sold out meets.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at
I
something,
totally agree. It's just we're talking about the pipeline to nationals, and like, so what's the? And I know we're international, and we have a Worlds coming up, but is there some sort of further pipeline to IPF Worlds? And
No.
that's looking like no.
we will
at this
never
point.
be at IPF Worlds.
That's fair.
But could there be a potential that we actually have our own world championships?
I hope so.
That's the World Cup concept in a nutshell.
I know,
But
and I
growing-
hope it grows too.
Growing into a much larger thing.
I truly hope it does because
And you have to have grassroots before you can do something. You can't start at the upper echelon of where you need to go, because you're doomed for failure at that point almost every single time.
So something I also have to say from the grassroots level over here, seeing where the complaints are and like how things work, and I guess in the culture itself, is that a whole bunch of the successes and the failures of these federations and the sport itself are predicated off what takes place on social media.
Mhm.
So there seems to be a great deal of ignorance in and around the World Cup. To grow the international entity of USAPL,
Yep.
you guys will, I'll tell you right now, we'll definitely need to educate people a whole lot more on what that entails, what the World Cup is about. And because it's been memed. People meme the whole World Cup thing, that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
to the point that basically people just think of it as a joke. To be frank, I have quite a few conversations with people where I'm disabusing them of the notion. I'm like, let them know exactly how you run meets and how it's convenient for them. You live in New York State, for fuck's sake. You're looking for like a national level meet, like like a above state level meet. I'm like, that's your meet. He goes, oh yeah, but it's the World Cup. I'm like, so what are your complaints here? It couldn't provide anything else apart from the fact that it was World Cup and it was meme once.
It could provide you with a pro card and get you an invite
Yes.
to Raw Nationals. That's what it
Exactly.
could do.
So many people don't realize that.
Yeah.
I think it needs to be brought up a little bit more to the front. Grow the international presence a little bit more as far as that's concerned. Like, educate people about it. USAPL runs things very well from like an operational aspect. I think the marketing on the internet and whatnot, the way that I guess like people are like educated and whatnot, could definitely use an overhaul. Powerlifting America has that upper edge right now. On social media, they're winning. That's what I'm seeing.
Mhm.
Because of the way they're running things. Marshall does a hell of a job over there, along with the other people he has, Adriana, these are the people like, who are writing and that kind of stuff. I think that's what USAPL needs to focus as far as that stuff is concerned.
You're going to see that change at the high school nationals. We're actually doing some things that we've never done before. So that's all I'll say about that. But having coverage at our events live is going to change. So I think the Arnold was not great, and it is what it is at this point.
What people don't understand is the fact that you guys are dealing with an issue where the Arnold was potentially not even going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, so you're
Yeah.
so,
Right, literally.
Yeah.
So coming up, anything from that.
And then
is
we
a
had the
come up.
biggest damn space
I
in
was
the
going to
whole
say,
right.
building.
you got
And
kicked
then
out of the
weightlifting
hallway
got kicked
to
out
have
of the
the
hallway.
biggest stage with the
Yeah.
only. Yeah,
Dude, it was jarring walking through the hallway and seeing like USA weightlifting in that little corner. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit.
Well,
You know?
that's where we were the
So-
year before.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah.
and then we had the upgrade. So
Yeah.
It was definitely an upgrade.
it was huge.
Going into this, I was literally like, I was so depressed. I'm like, we're gonna be where in Expo Hall? I was, man, I don't want to do this. They're gonna stick us in a corner and we're gonna be like the redheaded stepchild. And then I get there and I see I saw the drawings of the space, and then I get there, I'm like, holy, wow,
Yeah.
our footprint is bigger than the strongman in the
Yeah,
back,
I know.
and we were louder than them. And the crowd on Saturday was absolutely bananas.
Yeah.
That was
It
People
was.
don't understand how loud it was because on the live stream it didn't seem as
Gino was like, if you leave this area, you ain't coming back.
No, because you can't get in.
I know. It was cool.
It was crazy.
So that stuff, I think, this is where disconnect is, and this is the thing basically that will essentially propel the USAPL to disabuse a whole lot of bullshit that's out there. Frankly, is to show this stuff, to demonstrate it, to have people meet them where the meets are actually happening and how they're happening.
Yep.
Because Powerlifting America has nothing going on, but they do a good job of presenting the shit that they do have going on.
Yeah.
USAPL has a whole lot going on, but it looks like nothing's happening because the social media is not where it needs to be. That needs to be made sexy.
Yep.
When that's made sexy, everything flows from there.
Well, have you seen the post recently? Things are coming up.
No, I know.
We're actually doing all the champions recaps and
You guys are
whatnot.
doing a lot better.
So
than
it's
I've
it's
seen in
it's
recent
taken a little
months.
bit to get to where we are, and
Just it needs to be. I think even from a coaching perspective, when I'm trying to figure out what's happening with the events and so on and so forth, the rules and all the stuff that's taking place behind the scenes, like the prize pools, that kind of stuff, I get it's a little bit clunky. You know, I'm not trying to like attack one of the cases, but it's an opportunity that, like, you know, that I think maybe USAPL can take advantage of to find things, make it a little bit more streamlined, make it a little bit more user friendly. When that happens, people just click on the website and you have the information available readily, or make it more easy to access. People say, "Oh shit! All right, this spells a whole lot of the bullshit out there."
right.
Your typical, like, like a person who's like, going to the USAPL portal and that kind of stuff isn't too familiar with that stuff.
Yeah.
So it needs to be, I want to say, a little bit more user friendly. And for the most part, they're getting the consumer information not off the USAPL portal, but off the USAPL Instagram page, off maybe a USAPL TikTok page.
I thought about doing a TikTok page. I just don't.
I was going to say, does they even have a TikTok page?
No, we don't. And I've personally kept myself off of it just because I
don't think that's super necessary.
I don't-
No, I understand that, but at the same time, what's taking place is like we're looking at broccoli heads, joining the ranks by the droves. And these people are going to be the new generation.
Yeah.
At some point in time, it was us coming in and be like, Instagram, who needs that? We can send out a couple faxes, you know what I mean? So these things change,
Yep.
And as much as I hate TikTok, that's where the attention is right now. And what drives people into these federations isn't what's actually taking place, because they don't get it, they don't see it.
Yeah.
They can't just say, I'm downloading this.
I think the TikTok aspect of it, if we were to go down that road, that's one of those things where it would be nice because you can make those really short clips of, hey, here's what's going on behind the scenes, and what's going on, here's Techland, where everybody, all the nerds hang out, and this is where all the magic happens. But I don't know what the right avenue is with that, and then how to stay relevant with the content, because our events are staggered so much, and we don't want to saturate Instagram and TikTok with the same information. You kind of want it to be a little diverse, to be different, right?
I know. You want it to be like its own like a demographic in the way that the message is delivered.
Yeah.
Instagram tends to be, I think it's short content, something like a picture, that kind of stuff, maybe something like, like succinct. TikTok, you can go more long form is what I've noticed. It's probably like, maybe I guess like where you develop like really the lifters like stories, where you can do like the character development with them would be TikTok. You put it out there, you follow people around, like do like I'm gonna say like an MTV Cribs kind of thing with that, with
MTV Cribs.
Oh my God.
Ylli's like, come on into my apartment, guys. Check this out.
you know those like recent videos that USAPL is doing with Nico Flores? Those could be TikTok posts.
That should be TikTok posts.
Yes.
Because I have differences with Nico Flores. Let's put it that way.
That's
But I think if you're going to do it, I think maybe it's not.
But as an example, it's a good example.
Yeah, I think that should be delivered on TikTok. And on Instagram, look at basically short snippets. Put certain things out, blah, blah, and that kind of stuff. And maybe if it comes out to longer form, maybe make mention of it in the post. If you want to see longer form of this, whatnot, behind the scenes, put it on TikTok. So you get the cross, the back and forth, whatnot. But there is a whole lot you guys could do here. And to see how other people have done it, like Powerlifting America, how they first started the whole social media push was by having a bunch of interns, young kids, and whatnot, got together, they exchanged ideas, and they did their own thing. They did a podcasting as well. And if you're familiar with Mike Goldberg, he was like running the whole Powerlifting America podcast out there before they got kiboshed by certain people.
Wait, Mark, it's the guy that walked into regionals last year with a Powerlifting America shirt.
Yeah. Oh. yes. So he was doing that for publicity. And he definitely got a rise out of some people.
Yep.
That's who Mike Goldberg is.
Yeah. But so we want to basically it's like have people who are up and coming in the ranks and who are in touch with this new generation, putting it out there. You know, the older people and whatnot who are established, they already know to go to USAPL portal.
Right.
You know, they don't need Instagram. You know, like, and they have it and they rarely use it. You know, like we were talking earlier about what's it called, Coleman, right?
Yeah.
Do you think he's referring to your USAPL Instagram page?
No.
His information? No.
No. The man doesn't even have a picture on his Instagram page.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, but he does it. He uses it rarely.
Exactly.
So yeah, he's going to USAPowerlifting.com.
Precisely.
100%.
You know? So this is where we need to meet people, where they're at.
Yep.
Despite the fact that maybe they shouldn't, what our preferences are and whatnot, and where they're currently at and whatnot, we need to navigate that difference. And we need to find ourselves there.
That's fair.
So maybe, I don't know, maybe find somebody, I guess, like a couple of people, I'd say, maybe like a team who can work around this. A team for Instagram, a team for TikTok, have people work together, and maybe even do like a podcast or something of that nature and whatnot as well, or whatever the hell it is. Just like a media push and whatnot, which meets people where they're at.
Well, we do have our own podcast, which is, we're going to be doing some stuff very soon with Arnold's Champions. So we're going to have them on as guests.
Oh, very cool.
Are you going to be having Arnold's bomb outs by any chance?
I mean, that could be its own podcast, but probably not. I would want to focus on the
I'm
positive.
sorry, wait. This is that podcast.
So that's going to be forthcoming. So we're going to collab with somebody, and we're going to do like a female male champions kind of interview session, question session, just to kind of get their back end story and talk about future and whatnot. So very quick, probably 30, 45 minutes or whatever, but just kind of follow them where they are, where they were, where they are, where they're going. And then we're going to do that for all of the 8 different divisions with the males and females.
I love it. That's awesome. It's good. You know, I mean, we could go on over here and whatnot. I think this.
Yeah, I think
it's a great place to end it.
I agree.
You know, I want to say thank you to Jan for joining us today.
You're welcome.
I want to say do a great job representing everything, whatnot, putting out the facts and dispelling, I guess, like the myths that are out there and whatnot. Very forthcoming dude.
Thank you to Sport of Iron.
I think
I
think
think
Mateo
Iron,
set
yeah.
a record for fewest words said.
Yes.
Perhaps.
Perchance.
Perhaps. I'm getting the count up right now.
Jen, if people want to reach out to you, where can they reach out to you? Where can they find you on the internet and that kind of stuff?
You can reach out to me on all the socials at Jan Daurio, JanDaurio, one word. That's pretty much the easiest way to do it. And Bent Bar Powerlifting, so Bent Bar PL on Instagram, that's my crew. We're 26 people strong, and we put on, I think, some of the best events in upstate New York. So at least I like to think that way.
I think we'd all agree to that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Without a shadow of
Thank
a doubt. You know. So thank you for joining us today, and thank you, the audience, for listening in. Until next time, Squat Plug. Peace.
That's it.